Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there, welcome to the program. This is Your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. HittnerGroup.com, 612-627-8000. That's 612-627-8000. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling. Happy to have a chat with you about your real estate needs. Of course, that first call is with no cost and absolutely no obligation. Okay, we've got a great report here for the week. Week 31 of the big year, 2026. 8,800 homes on the market. That just like tops it out for the year. 8,800 homes on the market, 7-county metropolitan area. Up from 8,700 last week, so we're up about 83 houses on the market. Numbers came in for now their year-to-date numbers through the end of July, so the finalized numbers have come in. And celebration, sound the bells and all of that. 22,508 homes closed in the first 7 months, up from 22,254. That's the first time we've been ahead of 25. Listings are up as well, 36,938, up from 35,117. That's the first time, so we've crept ahead of last year. At the beginning of the year, the National Association said that we're going to be up like 3.5%, I think it was 3.5-4% nationally.
Of what overall?
Overall year-to-date activity for 26 over 25, and since they made that forecast, we've been behind. So now we're catching up, and looks like we're going to be, if the last trimester is good, we should be pretty much in line with their forecast. We'll see what happens with that. New listings this week, 1,300 listings, down from last week, 1,500 listings. New solds 1,300, so about a trade there. Days on market for the ones that have sold and closed this last week, 32 days on the market, running about 45 days on the market, under 50 days on the market as an average. New pendings this week, 923. So the market is generally interest rates are having their impact. So it's shifting. Our contract ratio, which is the number of pended properties versus what's available for sale, is down to 43%. 50% would be balanced. Okay. So you got about half the market is pending, and that kind of tracks around. Last year at this time was 51%, for example. Now we're at 43%. That means that there are fewer pended listings, more active inventory available. That's good news for buyers, in that there's choice available, and the increased days on market means that there's not the panic buying that could be done. There still is in some markets in some areas, but generally I think it's a pretty doggone good balanced market.
Did you say panic buying?
Yeah, where it's like when during COVID years, there was a lot of panic buying during COVID years, where it's like, oh my God,
there's a lot of panic.
There's 17 offers on a house. I gotta go. None of that anymore. There's very little of that anymore. There's a couple of multiple offers that you can, find yourself in. But even with there's multiple offers, there's not 15 offers.
Yeah, we're speaking off air about South Minneapolis and COVID and kind of the overall activity level at that time versus now. And I'm actually reselling and closing on a property tomorrow, thankfully, that I've been working on for quite some time, and it's selling for more than they bought it for, which was during peak like 2021 craziness with multiple offers. You would get 75 showings on a house in 2 days.
Yeah.
We were literally like putting people in a motel. Can you go to your sister's house or cabin? Because the lights are going to be on for the next 48 hours and the door is going to be open. And people are just going to be coming in and out. And we would have 20, 30 offers on properties. We had a lot of folks that bought houses during that time. Some of them had to come in order to get those homes significantly over asking price. And I just resold one for more than what they bought it for.
$1.95 more.
Not by much.
Yeah.
I think it was it $5,000 or $10,000 or something like that. And it's been 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talk about appreciation and how that's gone over the last 5 years and where we've been at just over the last 12 months. I think I saw like a 1.5% or something like that. And maybe 3% this year, which is still great. But the reality is some folks aren't in that spot.
No.
And I've been searching for homes in Maple Grove, Plymouth, Eden Prairie. I haven't seen anything over on the east side of town quite yet in suburbs that are 2-story style, 4 beds up, 3-car garages. Shakopee's another one. I'm just chopping over on that side of town right now quite a bit. Short sales.
Mm.
So
really?
Yes, couple short sales.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, couple short sales. So,
wow.
yeah, I thought it was interesting that's the case. So I mean,
Well,
if you got to
when
move
you've
and you've been out and you paid significantly over the asking price in 2021, and now you're trying to move 5 years later, there's a possibility of that, right? I mean, you have an example of that too in Lakeville, where it's a 100% finance transaction, VA deal.
Can't do
You
it.
bought it over the asking price. It appraised fine at that time, but now you got to move for whatever reason. Divorce, death, moving out of state, having more children, need more space. Like all those reasons still require you or necessitate buying a different property.
Well, it takes 5 years of appreciation to absorb the premium that you paid on the house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what you're doing,
exactly.
just absorbing the premium.
Yep. And all those lender fees and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
All the lender fees.
It wouldn't be so bad. The market would be even better if it wasn't for the greedy lenders.
I know.
Oh,
yeah,
sure,
well,
yeah.
the rates are so high. That's the deal, right?
I'm super happy to compare any
Interest rates. It's all interest
It's all
rates.
about it.
Hush.
So
Interest
here's the
rates.
deal, though,
Killing
and
me.
that is holding a lot of people back, because you've got people that are interested in moving, and they have this fear that they're not going to be able to find their current home, their new home, and they've got 3 kids, 1 on the way, and they got dogs, pets, all that chaos, which it is, especially when you're young, chaos going on in the house, and they're like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And
How do you do it?
And we've got a workshop coming up. It's called the Right Size Moves Workshop coming up. Go to hittnergroup.com/workshop. By the way, you were supposed to get that on the first page of the big website.
I didn't think that was a concrete scenario that we said Keith was going to go do that. You
Yes.
said, can it be done? I said, sure, it can be done. We could play it back.
We could play it back, because
We'll just keep
I
going,
think
though.
I
The expectation is
I
that this time I'm gonna
explicitly
do
told
that.
you I didn't know how to do it, and you said, "Oh yeah, that's easy." I
It's
gotta
super
take
easy,
care of
I'm
that.
sure. Probably a template deal.
Okay.
If
I
had
made
some-
the
if I had
landing
graphic
page.
software
It's
still,
there.
maybe we could get it done. I don't
Okay,
know.
hittnergroup.com/workshop. Sign up for the big workshop. It is so great. I'll give you an example of how wonderful this program is, just because I have to tell this. So I have a property that's on the market right now, sold. She bought another house. She wanted to move into her new house early, without closing on her existing property. Yet she needed to sell the property to get qualified, right, because of the ratio deal. Calvin comes in with the Cash to Win program, writes a cash offer on the house. Now we already have it sold, but it's like a backup. It's like a guarantee.
Yep.
Now that qualification issue goes away, and she can close on her new house, right? And then a week later, close on the existing house. This week, I get a phone call from the buyer's agent.
From the buyers.
Actually, I needed to know who the buyer's agent was, being a little bit slow in getting me information about who their title company was.
Okay.
So I reached out to the lender and said, "Who are you already title work through?" And he said, "As of today, I'm not the lender anymore." And I'm like, "Oh God, crap! Now what? We're closing in 2 weeks. Appraisal's been done, inspection's done, everything's done. Closing in a couple weeks. He's not the lender anymore." So I reached out to the agent in a panic, but I wasn't really panicked because I knew I had Kelvin's cash offer on the table. So I have an offer on the house. That house is going to close one way or the other. Well, fortunately, they just switched from XYZ lender to ABC lender.
But it gives you that peace of mind, though.
It gives you that peace of mind. So then as a seller, as a mover like that, to know that you can move forward and that your sale of your property is guaranteed. And now you're free to market the property. We'll market the property, or you can market it with whatever real estate brokerage you want. Of course, you'd use us because you want the best. But you can market it with whoever you want. And when you sell it, if you sell it for more than the guarantee, super duper, you keep the money. It's just such a fabulous program. And it's so cheap, it's almost free. I mean, it's easy. It's just so cheap.
All the details at hittnergroup.com/workshop. Give us a call, 612-627-8000. We're going to head out to break. More when we return. 612-627-8000. We'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER Group.com. Almost 20 years on the big broadcast show. You believe that? hittnergroup.com. Okay, Mitch Gassen's in the studio. Gassen, you'll know that name. It's got to be the largest management company in the state, isn't it? They're one of the largest in the country.
I think they're one of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like every time you turn. And it's funny now because it used to be when it was Gassen, you'd go, oh, crap, it's Gassen. As a management, because you had rules that you followed, and structure in the things. So when you're getting docs and stuff like that, it was now it's like, oh, good, it's Gassen, right? Because there's rules and there's structure.
Well, it's
because
more important now.
It's
right?
more important now. And I was reading the Wall Street Journal. HOA foreclosures are up 40%. We were talking about that. I wish we could have recorded Coffee Clutch prior to the show because it was a great conversation about associations. HOA foreclosures are up 40%.
HOA
foreclosures.
Okay.
Foreclosures. So when you don't pay your association dues,
they can foreclose?
They can foreclose, and they are in front of the lender.
First lien.
Yep. They're at first lien rights in front of the lender, which gives lenders a pause. Right?
I wonder why interest rates are higher on condos. Why would that be?
Why would that be? Because the risk is higher.
Yep.
And then there are so many of them. There are so many people who just don't pay attention to it. And there's old associations, old managements, self-managed, who just haven't been paying attention for a very long time. And so there's a good percentage in whatever association that you're going into, of people who aren't paying their dues.
Right.
And now that cost of running that association has got to be borne by the remaining companies, puts a burden on their reserves and all of that kind of stuff. So you have a little company that is building to kind of relieve that burden from people. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So at HOA Assist, we are kind of built to be in the middle ground between your traditional management style and self-management. We wanted to enter that space because the statistics show that 35 to 40% of all community associations across the country, which is now, I think, over 375,000, something like that, in the U.S., are self-managed, meaning they just do it all on their own. And so rather than have them do that, how can we kind of partner with them, link arms with these board members that either don't want to do that all by themselves, probably shouldn't be doing that all by themselves, or they can't afford the traditional style. And so we kind of operate in that middle ground.
Smart.
In an effort to, like I said, help these board members, but also keep costs down. You talked about foreclosures, and we talked about that before the show. It's interesting to see those stats come out now. I think it was 40% over the last 2 years. Well, what's been happening over the last couple of years? Insurance premiums for HOAs are going through the roof, which means special assessments are going up, which means lack of association fee payments, late fees, potential fines. Like all these things go into why homeowners can't pay their dues. talk about reserve contributions. A lot of communities don't contribute or are significantly underfunded on the reserve side. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to bump that back up so they can qualify for funding.
Yep.
And so it's kind of this weird soup of ingredients that's kind of now culminating to a lot of communities just saying, we can't afford to kind of kick the can down the road for non-payment of dues anymore. We have to take action. And that action, unfortunately for the homeowners, is legal. Yeah, it's legal action.
Can you guys cap, or can an association cap how high the fees can go up each year, just so homeowners know going in? Like,
it's a really good question.
now, but it's going to go up to 400 next year. Like they can't afford
It's a really good question, and some of them, yes, because some of the declarations and the governing documents will say that, you know, without homeowner vote, like 67% of the whole community would have to approve this. The board could only cap it at, say, 5% per year. Like it can't go over 5% per year, and that's not a global thing. That's just some communities.
Oh, that's some.
That's not. That's not like a federal regulation. It's just
our state, I think, has a cap on the associations. How much
they might now going forward with the new
Yeah.
legislation. I don't know the answer to that for sure, but if it is going to be higher, you have to have 2/3 of the community agree to that at like a special meeting or something. And most of the time, unless the board can really sell it, it's probably going to fail.
So here's what I've seen.
Hey, your
happen.
dues are going to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
No.
does that sound?
No.
Yeah,
No,
how's
thank
that
you.
sound? No. So here's what I've seen happen is you've got an association that has their dues are going out of control, driven by high insurance costs mostly. I mean the maintenance fees, the actual maintenance of lawn mowing, the snow plowing, and all that stuff, it will go up and it will follow the market in terms. But the insurance costs have gone kind of crazy, and they are under reserving for repair and maintenance.
Under reserving is huge.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a big reason for it.
So they
too.
want to catch up with some of the stuff. Well, when then they have this cap, they can't. Well, we have to have this massive vote. So what they've done is they say, look, we want in the name of transparency, we want to pull insurance out of the monthly dues, and we're going to have it as a separate line item.
Yep.
And we'll just pass that cost along so everyone knows exactly what their insurance is. Is everyone okay with that? Or everyone would say yes to that. Okay, so now that frees them up to raise their dues on the other primary stuff and get that up. So that takes that insurance out of that conversation.
I wonder how does that all relate to specials and the requirements for the association with special assessments then? I mean, if they're legitimately deficient in covering hard costs for maintaining the development, then do they go to, okay, well, we have to have a special assessment for, this, that, and the other thing because we don't have the reserves? And are there votes then on specials
Yes.
for those improvements, right?
Yeah, and I would say, it all depends on what the documents say per community, but it's an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
Every association, I've had a lot of these conversations, and I would venture to say that 70 to 80% of all communities, and it's probably higher than this, are not just underfunded, but in some way significantly underfunded.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all reliant on specials. There's no other option. Dues, at the rate that you increase your association dues, you're not going to catch up to what you need. And if you did do that, there's a possibility that your property is less desirable and harder to market for you guys to sell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to look at a single family home association or even a townhome community that doesn't have a lot of amenities, but you're still paying $500.
Right.
People aren't going to want to buy that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a looming special assessment that is likely going to happen at some point in time. It might not be next year, but within the next 5, I would put money on that.
Yeah, and there's a significant difference between townhomes that are valued at $200,000 to $300,000 versus townhomes that are valued at $500,000 to $750,000.
Yep.
And obviously the affluent individuals that are buying the townhouses on the higher end versus the financial situations that folks are in buying entry level and those lower end townhouses, they don't have a lot to contribute, so they don't want to increase anything at all and keep it as low as possible. So they're not really concerned about maintaining the development as much. which leads to less value in those
And their
communities.
time frame perspective is less. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to be here for a couple, 2-3
Yeah,
years.
and
moving
things
on.
are happening that, for example, there are some communities that we work with that have really never contributed to reserves or don't even really have a reserve fund.
Right.
Well, you drive around now, and some of this stuff, I remember this from like 8 or 9 years ago, that like these ash borer ash trees,
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
trees.
and it looks horrible now. They're all dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a small to mid-size, any community really, you could go through a neighborhood and there's 100 of these trees they need to take down because it looks really bad. Well, they don't have the money to do it. So now this community is surrounded by these gross dead trees
Right.
that they've never budgeted or planned for. And what do they have to do? They have to live with it, or the specialist has to get them out of there. And that's just one example. But I'm noticing that around, the Twin Cities area, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, these,
man.
you just look
Just
around.
my neighbor. I'm in Inver Grove Heights. My neighbor across the street, he's got 5 acres, and it was maple ash lining the boulevard of his property. And just over the last 2-3 years now,
No, it's maple
we've
space.
it's Maple Gap,
Yep.
Maple Gap. We've taken it down. So yeah, interesting stuff. More on associations and how all that ties into your living with finance and real estate purchases here when we return. You can log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com. 612-627-8000. That number again is 612-627-8000. We're going to head out to break here. We'll be right back.
This is Your Real Estate Chalk Talk in the studio with Mitch Gassen. We're talking associations and how difficult it is really to manage properties and to get people to understand that they have to contribute to the reserves and that there's maintenance that has to be done to the association, which is really curious because if you had a single family home, you would still have to understand that you're going to need a roof in some point. You're going to need to mow the lawn. You're going to need to do this. You're going to need to do all these services, pay for garbage. Those are normal costs anyhow.
I remember back in the day when I first started buying real estate, I was like 20-some-year-old kid. You would budget a certain percentage of your, household expenditures or your value of your home for maintenance. So I would put that money aside and be like, oh, I'm going to have to do this, that, or the other thing. And if you didn't use it, great. It's kind of like a little reserve fund for
vacation
maintaining your house.
Yeah.
Not blow it on vacation. No, that's how it was.
Yeah.
That was how my mind was.
We have been in single-family home. I've been involved in transactions right now where it's a single-family home development. Looks like a normal neighborhood, and you've come to find out that there is an association. No one has paid any attention to the association for years, but now the lenders are requiring association documents. There you go back to the evil lender again. They're requiring association documents, and no one has any clue. The seller, many times, are like, oh, yeah. And it's like, well, don't you pay dues to somebody? No one ever pays any dues. Yet they've got, if you look at the governing documents, and this is a specific case in Bloomington, they've got mailboxes, they've got the front entranceway, they've got the flowers and all planted.
Right
and
at
all that
98th
stuff.
there, and
but the mailboxes are falling down, and they're starting to put up their own because their mailbox fell down. It was supposed to be association, but there's no money in the associate and no one driving the ship. Yeah. But now we have to go back and find them, and nobody knows. What do you do in a case like that? I mean, how do you find them?
Well, when we take a community like that, that's most likely self-managed. I mean, when we take over one that's been with, an actual management company, it's relatively easy to get the information we need.
It's the self-managed ones.
So the self-managed ones are hard because the person that we get in touch with is on the board, question mark, I use air quotes because hopefully that's the case. Otherwise, it's just a homeowner, asking for help because they're noticing that things are falling apart. It's way harder to get the information we need and transition a property that's self-managed 10 times over harder than it is to get one that's managed because of that situation there. You don't really know who has what. You don't know who is or isn't a signer on the bank account. you don't even know if the documents that you're getting are up to date, if they have them at all. I mean, I took one over recently where I had to go to the person's house because they didn't have digital copies, and we had to go take it back to the office and scan them all.
Scanned in.
And so it's really difficult to get the info that you need. And I can only imagine from your guys' perspective when you're working with a homeowner that's not even a board member who really, if the board member doesn't really know, the homeowner has no clue.
No clue.
No clue. They may even not know who their board is.
We had one that we sold in Rosemont, and it was a Wensman built, and it was decent in the good big association, but it was a single family part over here, and they basically did the mailboxes.
Yeah.
And no clue. They just knew that once a year they had to pay some money, and they, thank God, they knew where they sent the check to, and that's all. But they had zero documents.
Yeah, and I can imagine how hard that would be for you guys to then,
no one knew anything.
chase that down.
What a blessing, though, when they get connected with you guys at HOA Assist, though, because now we have a real company, we have real documents,
Right.
Everything's updated,
And
now
we
we're
can't,
set.
we can't get involved unless we chase all that stuff down
Right.
anyway. So by the time you guys are there, it should be a whole heck of a lot easier for you to get what you
And
need.
then you guys have all the docs, right? So we
Yep.
just go to HOA Assist, you guys have it, we get it from
So
Like
you.
we can't even open up bank accounts and do what we need to do unless we have that information. So we do all that stuff when we sign on a new client, and if
Yep.
it is a self-managed community that is scrambling, part of what we have to do is clean it up before we get started. It's like
you
rehab.
look at that
Yep.
then and say, look,
Yep.
you guys, you're paying $98 a year for the self-managed association, which basically plants flowers, and
Yep.
hopefully someday we'll replace the mailboxes when they fall apart. But you have zero reserves. Do you sit down with them and say, look, this is what is more reasonable, and you've got to do this?
Yeah, we do. I mean, let's just assume that community you're talking about, just to make it easy, is 100 units,
Okay.
right? And it's $100 a year. It's $10,000 a year in income for that community. Well, our fee on that is still going to be a heck of a lot less than what a traditional management company would charge. But even then, they probably can't really afford it because we're going to be 45% of their annual budget. And so they need to increase the message to them is it's just you're not charging enough. You have to charge your homeowners enough if you don't want this to be a kind of a full-time job on the side for you. If you want help, you have to pay for it. And I don't say that to make it harder for them, but the reality is you may have been paying that $98 or $100 a year for 15 years. You got to increase your dues.
Yeah. That's
Even at a
that's the
single
real
family
case. That's the
level.
real case, is that these things have gotten locked in, a decade ago.
No one wants to be the bad guy.
And no one wants to have a conversation, and they look out their window and they say, well, the association really doesn't do anything for us.
Yeah.
But they notice the beautiful flowers when they pull in.
And that's probably coming from Betty, the community member who just likes to plant flowers because,
Right.
she's got time to do it. But I can even think of a potential buyer driving through the association, looking at the mailboxes that are all beat up and going, I don't even know if this association cares.
For folks living in association communities that maybe do participate in board activities and need help, how do they reach out to you? What
They can find us. Our phone number, 855-952-8222. They can go to HOA-assist.com and hit the contact us. It'll go directly to one of my inboxes, sales@HOA-assist.com. And we'd be more than happy to help and talk to them. We can usually get an association up and running, even a self-managed association up and running within 30 days.
Okay.
So the transition time is pretty quick. We're dogs on a bone with that. We want to try to help them get out of the mud as quickly as they can.
What kind of filing requirements does the association have annually with tax filings or anything?
They do have to file taxes even as a nonprofit, even if they don't owe anything. It's really easy, really quick.
Do you
they
come
have
into cases where they just haven't done that?
Yeah, oh yeah, all the time. And that's okay. You get a CPA involved or something, and it's a couple $100 for them to get them all caught up. Not a big deal. They have to usually file with the Secretary of State each year. I think that's like $60 now. Again, it takes like 2 minutes. Our team can help do that. But there are some things that, if you're not kind of plugged into the industry, would for sure kind of
overwhelm you a
you'd
little
miss
bit.
it.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't know. So it's helpful to have a third party that
Knows what's going
tracks
on.
all that stuff for you.
What about help with finding services, lawnmowers and snow plowers and those kinds of things? Do you offer that kind of like as a referral?
Referrals, yeah. I mean, that's a huge part of what I do. The difference would be I'm not making the phone call for that board member to that vendor. I'm just saying
Provide service.
I do a lot of intros.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this person could help you out. That way that board member isn't just kind of trying to fly blind and figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
So I'll say, this person might be a good resource for you, or, I'm going to introduce you to, that particular vendor. I think they do a good job. They're in your area.
And
type
they're
of
vetted.
thing.
I mean, you've
and
done
we've
that.
worked with them in the past.
Right.
So
very good. What would be the message to put out to a townhome association that's trying to self-manage, or even one that's managing with a company that is alleged to be a full-service company but doesn't seem to be doing the job?
It's a good question. I would say, as a board, we wouldn't, if I'm speaking to that particular board, I have to ask them what's the most important thing to you? Or do you want to save money? Are you getting the service that you think you need? Are you overpaying for something that you don't need? So these boards really have to come together and say, well, for sure we don't want to do this all on our own. We don't want to self-manage. But maybe we don't need this full service model, in which industry would tell you about 40% of communities don't across the country. And so that's where we would be a good fit. We're going to do probably 70 to 80% of what those traditional management companies do anyway. Save you some money along the way so that you don't have to worry about these behind the scenes financials and some admin stuff and technology stuff. We're going to handle all that for you. But in an effort to, if you're with a full service company, we're for sure going to save you some money in doing it. There's going to be a certain level of things that you're going to have to take on as a board, and there's going to be some things that we're going to take off your plate as well.
So the full service model is like a benchmark that they can say, okay, here's the cost of this. Then you can do it yourself and do a lousy job. You're in the middle.
Exactly. The full service side is if you want to pass the buck to a property manager, if you're on the board and you just want to pass the buck to a property manager, go ahead. Absolutely. If that's not working well for you, maybe give us a call.
And one more time on the website so folks can contact you.
HOA-assist.com, and our phone number is 855-952-8222.
Awesome. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
612-627-8000 is our phone number. Give us a call anytime. HittnerGroup.com.
Hey, welcome back to the Big Money segment of the program. Calvin Koenig, ladies and gentlemen. 651-231-2500. That's the big phone number to call for the great rates and the low cost to acquire, and the wonderful programs that are available that aren't available to the average Joe Blow. When I get a offer in on a property and I always go to the lender, see who the lender is. And some of these, just many lenders are cropping up with names that, I never heard of before. It's just like,
See what this one is, right?
That's going to be a problem.
Lenders?
Yeah. That's going to be a problem.
I haven't seen a lot of new ones pop up, but there's a lot of lenders out there, man.
Yeah, there
right?
sure are.
So give us a quick real estate recap to start our
real
segment.
estate recap quickly. We are up less than 1%, but we're up tipped over, so we're a little bit ahead of last year through the end of July, which is the good news. So we're improving there. Lots of inventory on the market. 8,800 homes on the market. The number of pendings this week is actually down from last week, down 4%. So we can see that the market is definitely shifting. Some of that is seasonal, but most of it, because we're going year over year, so most of it is impact of interest rates, I think, and what's going on in the world. Election year is always a little sideways anyhow. We listen to the politicians out there now campaigning and lying to us, telling us how great everything is going to be if they're elected. And then they get elected and they get their nose in the trough, just like and it doesn't matter what political party.
No.
It absolutely doesn't matter.
No. Well, good. Thank you for that. So let's touch real quick on mortgage rates. Hasn't not been the week we wanted. The stock market, though, hey, good news. You guys are making tons of money in the stock market.
Super duper.
Highest levels
got those
ever.
they got those oil stocks, man.
Man. Well, we'll
Chevron.
We're going to touch. I'm just going to go to. I actually took a picture of it. I'm going to find it here real quick because it was crazy to me to see here. This was on Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
ExxonMobil, second quarter 2025, their profits, 2025
All right.
profits, $7.1 billion.
All right.
Second quarter 2026 profits were $15.3 billion, doubled, a little over doubled their profits and that's quarter.
I wonder
Chevron.
but it doesn't say what their gross sales was.
Hold on, I just let me be on
To
my
see,
thing.
that might be reasonable.
Chevron.
$15 billion might be still under what they should be making,
Oh, geez,
based
I don't
on the
think
revenue
so.
and based on
Chevron second quarter
capital
2025 $2.5 billion. Second quarter 2026 10.7, 5-time increase for Chevron on their profits.
So what's the
in
cap
quarter.
rate? See, that's like pulling one little stat out, you know. And then
Oh, you think it's good?
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe
talk,
they've got
talk to your
$1 trillion.
buddy, talk to your buddy Trump.
Maybe they got
he's
$1
all over
trillion
him as well.
invested.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem. It seems pretty interesting that that's occurring. So mortgage interest rates. So this week went up, and we're at high levels. We're at 6.75 is the national average.
All right.
Which you guys say, oh, that's great. It's not bad. It's not great, and it's slowing things, and it's we have a great month this month closing, like great month, right? We were talking Monday, really good month. August this month, like crazy. Like, why is it so good? And then you look at your new applications, you're like, man, okay, well, we need to have a good month
She's
now.
going to be a little lean.
Because
Yeah,
we
we'll be.
got to run for a little bit here.
You know, it's kind of like that second push of the year that we talk about a lot, but interest rates are not in a good spot.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with the seller putting the house on the market, in the next couple weeks, hopefully next week.
Right.
And there's some things that are changing on their side, and I'm like, just the sooner we can get it on, the better at this point, because we're pushing up against school's going to start in like 3 weeks here for a lot of kids. For high schoolers and middle schoolers, and then elementary in September, and it's getting to be that time.
Yep.
Let's get them sold here now.
a long
August,
winter.
September, October.
Let's go.
And then
right?
winter is closer than it was 60-some degrees this morning.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna get the cooler nights.
And you're
warmer
shifting that
days.
conversation,
Yeah,
aren't
the
you? You're
trees
like,
are starting
hey,
to-
no, everything's good. Like, but gotta go. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Right, let's go.
Yeah.
So that's good. We saw the last 2 days. I've got files that we're not locked yet, and everybody's kind of like, hey, do you want to lock? Do you want to float? Well, you think they'll get lower? I said, I don't know. This, and it's all predicated on this, on inflation. It's on the Iraq stuff or the Iran stuff going on. It's just like there's so much uncertainty. But then one statement, Trump says one thing, hey, we're getting close to a deal. Well, no, you've said that for now how long?
I know.
And now, so the markets go, everything's good, rates go. And then the next day, then Israel goes in and Bob's Lebanon again, right? So just like now you just screwed this up because now it's just this circle of just
Reactions.
reactions.
And what's really
there's
something
financial
about
and
that,
it's just like
Kelvin,
super
is that
frustrating.
for the average guy on the street who's just getting up in the morning, putting his boots on, and going to work,
Yep.
none of that matters.
I know.
None of that matters.
I know. But we're the guys on the phone. They're going, why? When we started, we were hoping rates would be like 6.5 or 6.25. Now you're saying they're 6.75. Yeah. Now that I can argue, but we were at coffee. We were like I can argue both sides of everything, right? Well, I can argue both sides, right? 6.75. The payment difference between 6.5 and 6.75, it's
Pennies.
nominal,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Four-
So
but
now what I'm doing
4% to 6.75 isn't, and
that matters.
when people are locked in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my 15-year rate is, 2.125 or some crazy thing like that. Like,
some awesome.
I'm
lender
not going anywhere.
did that.
Have a thanks guys, good stuff.
Welcome.
But a lot of people at 3.5, 3.75, and that's where that lock-in scenario
Yep.
is
Freezes
very
up.
real.
Yep.
It's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a refinance though right now. Somebody, the other side of it is sometimes you just need money and you need to solve some problems in your home. So we're going from 4 1/8 to 6.5 on FHA, and they're like,
Instead
I
of
just
paying
have,
19.85% on a credit card debt.
Yep.
I mean,
and
that's
and
smart
quite
move.
honestly, you know what their payment shift was, and taking $25,000 out, $181.
Yeah.
So it wasn't they're like, oh, that's better than I thought. I'm like, yeah, now I'm a nervous guy on the phone, like, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, it's nice out. I'll take you out for coffee. Like, oh, that's great. I'm like, yeah.
Because
Like,
you solved their problem.
I got to kind of correct myself a little
yeah,
bit
solved
take
too,
it
their
easy.
problem.
right? Because I solved the problem, right? So, so mortgage rates at 6.75 is kind of that range where you're going to be. The Fed has turned. This is just bullets here. Fed has turned more hawkish. So instead of talking about cutting rates, some are now saying there'll probably be one rate hike by the end of the year.
Because rates aren't high enough.
Well, because they're concerned about inflation, because inflation just won't improve.
See, there's such a disconnect. Everyone's complaining about high rates, and then they're saying, well, we're going to raise the rates. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Because they got this reading over here that says inflation's still going. Mortgage rates follow the bond market, not really the Fed, but there's drivers and it's interconnected. Mm-hmm. Our counselors don't try to time the market. Buy the house. What do we say? Marry the house, date the rate. Mm-hmm. Not date rape. It's a date the rate.
You got it.
Got it? Okay. So I got to date the rate, and then when the rate changes, we can refinance and take you down. And we have a lifetime guarantee as well, just like we did in our previous life. So when someone refinances, we're not paying lender fees. We're not paying for the appraisal. We're just, if anything, we're going to pay to just drive that rate down lower, but that's it. And then for Minnesota buyers, market's pretty good and the market's tight. I think we're right in the middle on the sweet spot for a buyer's market.
I do too.
Or is it a seller's market? Man, we're perfectly positioned right now because we're getting a little bit of closing costs sometimes, but yet we had multiple offers and we used our cash to win. You talked about it earlier. We come in with our cash to win program. We beat out, there are 6 offers. We win because we're cash. We close in 4 days. Come on.
I think a lot of it's just still down to what Keith always said forever. It's local. Real estate is local. So, and local could mean the address. Mm-hmm. Is that house in terrific shape or is it a little dusty? Mm-hmm. Is that neighborhood in terrific shape and high demand or is it a little dusty? Mm-hmm. All those things matter in a market like this. So you'll have one property that sells and has multiple offers, not 15, but maybe 2 or 3. And then you've got another house that's similar house, but maybe even built by the same builder in a different neighborhood that's a little dusty, and that's sitting on the market and doesn't seem to sell.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing, and you'll find, if you want to find out all this information, you got to come to our seminar, our home buyer workshop that we're doing, and it's the right size moves. And one of the things we'll talk about there is just getting the home prepared to sell. We talk about cats, dogs, kids, and clutter. I mean, you got to get that. Sometimes it's good. You just got to get out of it. Yes. Right? So we're going to try to get you positioned to get into your new property right now so your existing home can get show ready. Show
ready.
And so we're excited about that seminar coming up. When is it, Keith?
We have it coming up on
August 19th.
August 19th?
Yep.
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
It's going to be in Lakeville, which is great location. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, we had a weird scenario where we're doing the trailing property again, getting the position people ready to move. We have one we're doing on Minnetonka. Got it back yesterday. The one that you'd referred. $2.7 million purchase price. They owe about $1.5 million. So we're doing that one.
Okay, that's great.
And the interesting thing on this one is that gentleman, is retiring, so he doesn't have the money to get going. So this is a great way for us to come in, buy the property, get him his money, let him go, let the realtors continue to sell the property just like they would in the past. So tons of solutions if you have a real estate issue or problem. We would just want to be part of that conversation. So.
What a great opportunity. Again, the HittnerGroup.com, HITTNER group, that's all one word, .com/workshop. Check it out. If you're thinking of making a move this fall or next year, sign up for the workshop.
And don't forget to call Calvin for all your mortgage, finance, refinance needs, 651-231-2500. That number again is 651-231-2500. And as always, visit our website, HittnerGroup.com. That's it for this week.